I also want to show, because we were just talking about where are the progressives on the minimum wage. Here's a story from Politico. Democrats are scrambling to piece together a backup plan that could save their minimum wage hike from getting tossed out of President Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion relief package and win over moderates wary of the proposal. The budget tool that Democrats are using to steer Biden's plan through Congress without GOP support, known as reconciliation, is laden with thorny restrictions waiting to ensnare the $15 minimum wage boost they've added to the next tranche of coronavirus relief. Let me explain for you folks what this bullshit propaganda Politico's writing is. First of all, the budget tool that Democrats are using to steer Biden's plan through Congress without GOP support, known as reconciliation, is laden with thorny restrictions waiting to ensnare the $15 minimum wage boost they've added to the next tranche. I don't know who the hell's writing this. Okay, so that nonsense about thorny restrictions, that's called manufacturing consent. Watch it, read it, the great Noam Chomsky. There are no thorny restrictions. This is a figment of the neoliberal imagination, or more simply put, gas coming out of Joe Biden and the Democratic Party's anus. Excuse me. There is no thorny restrictions. It's not like the Senate parliamentarian overrules the president of the United States, okay? If Biden wanted this in the COVID relief bill, it would be in. If Biden wanted $2,000 monthly checks, $2,000 monthly checks, it would be in if they were doing it through budget reconciliation. I could go down the list, canceling the rent. I could go down the list, expanding Medicare, dare I say, Medicare for all. If Biden wanted it, he would do it. You remember Lyndon B. Johnson? Didn't love him on everything. Good on domestic stuff, the Great Society, all that. Horrendous on Vietnam. Fairly corrupt too. But you want to know what? As president, he did something called greasing the skids. He rubbed elbows with senators. He muscled senators. He threatened senators. And he got them to do what he wanted. Okay? Biden could do that. Biden could do a little Governor Cuomo here. I'll destroy you. Let's not even get into Andrew Cuomo. My God. But he chooses not to. Biden could go to Joe Manchin and say, you're going to vote for this $15 minimum wage. And if you're not going to do it, I'm going to West Virginia. If you're not going to do it, I'm going on the air. I'm going in person. And I'm taking you on. And I'm going to back a primary opponent to you. Joe Biden would be running like a little girl. Okay? Same thing with Kristen Sinema or any of them. So this is preposterous, and Politico and the other media are taking the BS rationalizations and excuses that Biden and the Democrats are making that, technically the Senate rules won't allow it and blah, 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 blah. And they're just reprinting it. But there's no thorny rules stopping $15 minimum wage or anything else from getting in to the COVID relief bill. And I don't understand why Bernie Sanders, AOC, Rashida Tlaib, all of them, I don't understand why they're not screaming from the rooftops against this. By the way, one of Bernie's correct criticisms of President Obama was you had this organizing army that got you into the White House in 2008, and then you left your volunteers, your army, on the White House lawn. You didn't utilize it. Well, Bernie, you still have a legion of supporters. Yeah, there's people that, he's a sellout, this, that, and the other thing. But if Bernie started calling in the troops, to be clear, YouTube, since you have a hard time distinguishing between literal and figurative language, I'm not talking about violently calling in the troops. I'm talking about calling in the political troops. You know what I'm saying? Not violence, political organizing. But if Bernie would go on CNN tonight and go ham on Joe Biden for moonwalking away from his promises, for making shit up, and enlist his supporters, oh my God, can you imagine the power? Could you imagine the power of that act? Could you imagine how many calls would flood the White House? Could you imagine the media coverage that would get? Sure, they'll gaslight and say Bernie's being decisive, whatever. Who the hell cares? Can you imagine the spark of leadership, which would then inspire action? Yeah, you might not have like physical protests all over the place because you do have a raging pandemic, which, knock on wood, the cases are down right now, although we're about to hit this horrible milestone of 500,000 dead. But where is this? And it's not just that, to me, it's not just the lack of leadership. It's kind of like it's just completely head scratching. Like, it's not even like anything stopping you if you're Bernie Sanders or you're, AOC, Rashida Tlaib. And I've spoken with people, I try to be vague because I don't, I'm not going to reveal any sources, but I've spoken with people in kind of Bernie's world, and they don't understand it. They don't understand what he's waiting for. They don't understand, like, has Joe Biden not shown you who he is already? He passed you over for a cabinet position. He essentially named one of your most fierce enemies as a director, which is a slap in the face, Neera Tanden. He's now moonwalking away from a $15 minimum wage. There's a deadly pandemic, and his solution that he said during its CNN town hall is to expand COBRA, the for-profit healthcare scam. So he's telling you who he is. Listen, let me read a little bit more of this so you kind of have an idea of what they're trying. So the White House and Hill Democrats have been waiting to see how the Senate parliamentarian, its official advisor on procedural matters, opines on the wage increase. That ruling could happen as early as Tuesday, according to a senior Senate Democratic aide. In the meantime, Democrats are already weighing several options to try to save the wage hike from fully imploding and make it more palatable for moderates in their own party, whom congressional leaders need lockstep support from in order to muscle the COVID-19 aid package through the Senate with a simple majority vote before unemployment benefits expire for millions of Americans in mid-March. Quote, there are two issues going on right now. One is the Byrd rule problems. One is whip problems, said House Budget Chair John Yarmuth, referring in the first case to the procedural hurdle that could quash the wage hike in the Senate. If Joe Manchin isn't going to vote for it because of the minimum wage, I assume we would take it out or compromise in a way that he would accept. Are you f***ing kidding me? Are you kidding me? Can you imagine for a second? Can you just imagine for a second? Trump, who, by the way, the Supreme Court ruled today that his tax returns for the last 8 years have to come out. So we'll see what happens. My assumption is it might show a long history of tax evasion and potentially money laundering. So that would be fun. Can you imagine if Trump was president, or, I don't know, Paul Ryan was president, or President Tom Cotton in 2024, or name your extremist QAnon, lunatic? And they'd say, well, we really want these tax cuts, or we really want this wall, or we really want whatever insane terrible thing, but we really, we just got to wait for the Senate parliamentarian to rule. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Can you imagine if they started saying things like, well, we got to wait till the parliamentarian rules and, the Byrd rule and blah, 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 blah. I mean, this is beyond bullshit, beyond gaslighting, beyond bullshit, beyond nonsense. I mean, does anybody believe that these are the real reasons that they're not doing it? Here's the real reason they're not doing it. It's very clear. Here's what Joe Biden said to donors during the campaign. Corporate America has to change its ways. It's not going to require legislation, though, because I'm not proposing any. We've got to think about how we deal people back in. It's not going to require legislation. So, guys, this is the honor system. Guys and gals, donors, behave. What did Hillary Clinton tell Wall Street? Cut it out. But, I'm not going to, do something crazy like legislation to force you to behave, force you to pay people a living wage. And by the way, let's be clear, $15 minimum wage isn't even enough. That's not enough. Are you kidding? If the minimum wage was following the trends of the last 40 years of inflation, we're closer to a $23, $25 minimum wage. And the $15 minimum wage, it's not even going into effect right away. You're talking, if they voted on this today, if it passed, you're talking it goes from $7.25, I believe, to $9.50. Then the next year, from 950 to 11 something. Then it would go to 13 something, and then it would go to $15 in 5 years. Well, in 2025, when it's officially $15 an hour, by that point, if you're talking about, taking into account inflation, you'd be closer probably to $27, $28 it should be. So it's just absurd. It's absurd. And the thing that really infuriates me is not just that the progressives right now are not fighting and have no leadership, but where in the world? Like, do these people, I understand a lot, millions of people voted not because they, were enthralled by Joe Biden, but just wanted to get rid of Trump. I get it. But those people, a lot of those people are in desperate need of help. A lot of those people, even people that are not hardcore progressives, but, voted to get rid of Trump, they have no protections to be evicted from their homes when the eviction moratorium is up. Biden, during his CNN town hall, said, we're temporarily halting foreclosures, i.e., when the pandemic is over, good luck. We're not going to do shit permanently, just like Obama let millions be foreclosed on. I mean, where is the outrage that they're doing next to nothing? Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.